Kane with Warframe Breakdown, where we break down Warframe so that you can be broken in. So today what we're going to go over is we're going to go over faction mods and how they work. If you just really want to know just how they interact with your weapon, it's quite simple. You just go into your arsenal. Faction mods, what they are by definition, is they are mods that give you increased damage or increased effects towards particular different factions. You have four main factions inside of Warframe. You have your Corpus, you have your Grineer, and you have your Infested. And then you have, lastly but not least, your Corrupted. So those are your four big ones. These are really your faction mods. There are a few others in the game, but these are like the big ones. Usually when people say faction mods, these are the ones they're talking about. Is your Bane of Corrupted, your Bane of Infested, your Bane of Grineer, and your Bane of Corpus. Essentially, all that it means is that if I'm going up against an infested unit and I throw this mod on, I will do an additional 55% of my total damage to that infested unit. If I was to go up against an infested unit and I had Bane of Corrupted, it would deal 0 additional damage because, quite frankly, they're just not corrupted. They have to have the glowing, they have to be kind of the gold look. They got to be like the irradiated look in order for this mod to work against them. If you completely disagree, like if that's all that you need to know, then you're good to just go ahead and stop watching and you can move on with your life. But if you don't like that, or you think that there's something else to them, or they deal additional damage, or that's not how they work at all, then the rest of this video is actually for you. And keep on watching, because we're going to dive into that. So, there are a few misconceptions of the faction mods, and one of the misconceptions of faction mods is that the effects of the faction mod get applied twice versus other mods like your regular damage mods, like your serration or your primed your primed shotgun mod, like those type of damage mods. They're saying that those mods only get applied once versus the corrupted mods get applied twice. So we're going to go over that one. Then the other thing that people have been saying is that faction mods also work across the loadout. They haven't for a long time now, and we're going to go over that one as well. And the last but not least, people have been saying, and I came across a few people in chat, they were saying that Bane mods deal more damage than the galvanized mods that came out, like your galvanized aptitude, your galvanized shot, those types of mods. And we're going to break down each one of those, and we'll go over them, and we'll take them on. And to start with, what I've done is I've essentially removed all mods. As you can see, this is my Galaxian Vandal. As you can see, I got a rank 30. I've thrown a few things on it to increase my caps and stuff, but relatively, it's entirely blank. I've taken out all the mods off of my Hydroid, so there's no passive effects from there. I don't have a primary or secondary weapon, and I've also eliminated all the mods off of my Parazon, just in case you think I have something up my sleeve there, or I have nothing. I don't even have a companion equipped. Now, I am going to leave these equipped because I'm not actually in the game modes that actually utilize these. I could remove my heavy gun, but as you can see, I have to kind of sort of have something there. There's not a remove heavy gun spot button, but I can rest assure you that this does not have anything on it that impacts my general gameplay. And that's like that for a reason, because typically you don't get these effects until after you bring them in by way of your gear wall anyways. So you don't have anything from there that would also impact the values. I'm dealing damage to a unit because I'm dealing cold. And the reason why I chose this weapon, the Galaxian Vandal, is because it's a mono damage type weapon, which means it only deals one damage type. It doesn't have multiple effects. It doesn't have puncture. It doesn't have impact. It doesn't have slash. It doesn't have radiation. It doesn't have anything like that. It just deals cold. And it deals exactly 29 damage of cold. And then 14 out of every 100 shots, or ticks in this case, because it's a beam weapon, it's going to have a crit of a 2.0 multiplier. And that's it. So that means these formulas are really easy to go through, and we can accurately analyze how our mods are impacting our weapons as we go through them. The reason why I chose cold damage was because it doesn't have any DOTs, it doesn't have any other passive effects. So like if I was to throw slash actually deals additional damage once it procs, and it deals 267% of that damage divided up over 7 ticks. So because it doesn't have any DOTs like that, it doesn't have any armor reducing effects, all it does is slow the enemy's movement and rate of fire by 85%. So even if it was to proc, it's not going to add anything to this 29 or this 2.0, and you'll see that as we use it while I'm using this weapon. Then to attack these enemies, what I'm going to do is I've already put them into play. I've put 20 infested chargers, and the reason why I chose infested chargers is because they don't have any buffs to the cold damage proc, so you're not going to see anything higher than 29, and you're also not going to see cold damage reduced while I'm hitting these enemies. So you should see 29 or 58. Those are the only two values that should come out of this weapon as I'm shooting this weapon, and you'll see that right now. So I'm just going to back up a little bit so that you can better see those values. So you can see got 29 coming out. There's a crit. I had a 58. But overall, they're just 29. And you know what? I bet you we could even make those a little bit brighter. Let's see. Let's see. I'm pretty sure. No, we'll just leave it as it is. It's not crazy. But, so we got that. You can see that it's just 29 and it's just 58. You can pause the video at any given point in time and verify that those are the only values coming out of it. So, now what we'll do is we're going to get to the core. This was our control. Our hypothesis is that when we throw on this Bane of Infested, that if it was to deal additional damage to the enemy, like in the way of effects and stuff like that, and it should be applied twice, that means we should see it being applied approximately 110% more damage, which is about 60 on the smallest value. So the smallest value that should hit this guy is 60, and we got that mod on. Let's go ahead and see what happens. And we're not getting 60. Instead, what we're getting is 48. We'll go ahead and shoot that guy right over there. See, at the most you can see there's a 48 that's popping out. You got a 90 that happens when it crits. So that doesn't exactly equate up the way it's supposed to for the mod. And maybe it's because there's something just not right about this, or maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I need to do a weakness or a different effect. So we're just going to do a small comparison. So that's a control, so we got those two. We'll throw on our serration. Now, serration is a true 165. Now, if we were to get those values, you'd see that it should be dealing 76.9 damage to these enemies when I fire them at them. So we can make some objective conclusions here. As you can see, we are definitely getting more than our faction mod, which is we're getting pumping out 77 damage. So with that being said, we know that the Bane mods do less than the basic serration, and we can verifiably say without a shadow of a doubt that when Bane mods are equipped, that they only get presented once. But other people might bring up the argument, well, what about the weaknesses? I had mentioned that earlier. What about various different weaknesses? Well, we can test that as well. The Infested happen to be weak by flame damage, and we have a mono flame damage type weapon here. This is the Ignis Wraith. As you know, it deals 35 base damage for heat when it has no mods equipped onto it. So we're going to go ahead and remove that, and we're going to see what these values are and see what the highest value that we can get. Now, since the Infested are weak against it as a base value, we should see only a 25% increase to the damage as we deal it to the enemy here. We're just going to go ahead and hit him here, and as we can see, we are getting that 25% increase from 35. We're seeing the Infested get dealt a solid 44 damage. And that makes sense because we're hitting them with heat and they get 25% more. So we're going to go ahead, we'll go back here, and now we're going to see just what exactly one faction mod would deal. So if it gets applied again multiple times, we should see that this faction mod, Bane of Infested, should be dealing probably closer to 68, 60, almost 70% additional damage, which means we should probably see approximately a 60 or 70 come out of this. On top of the 25% damage, which means that we should be seeing closer to 90. But as you can see here, we're not getting closer to 90. We're only getting 68. Which, if you were to do the math, if we were to take 44 and we were to times it by 1.55, we would see that a resultant is exactly 68. It's not closer to that 90 value that I was talking about. So, since we know that it's not getting close to that 90, we know that this 55% is only getting applied once, even though the Infested are weak against it. So we can definitely eliminate that and say that it's not really getting applied over, and it's actually just getting applied in, just kind of like a normal damage mod would. So now what we can do is the other accusation out there is that if you have a weapon on, say, secondary, say like I have a Magnus Prime here, and as you can see, I don't have any mods equipped right here. If I was to throw this Expel infested, even though it's only 35%, that 35% should be seen being applied over to our primary weapon. And I'm just going to go back to the Glaxion Vandal just for simplicity's sake, so that you don't see the additional damage from that fire. Just because it kind of, some people will notice that and they'll say, hey, there's the fire, I can see that it's increasing. When really that's just multiple stacks of the same damage just hitting the enemy, and it's not actually increasing or decreasing. It's just the same amount just getting applied multiple times. So we'll go ahead, we'll throw these guys in here. And we're going to go ahead and throw this on here. So now if that mod was to work across the loadout, we'll go ahead, we'll hit this enemy, and that looks like that's 2 guys there. Let's go ahead and throw that there. So as you can see, we're dealing only a raw 77 with the mods on. I think I actually threw the faction mods still on primary. Let's see, let's go back to our primary. I think it still has it on there. It has the serration on there, that's why we're seeing it so high. So we'll just quickly remove that, so you can see with the serration that's at 77. And that seems, that's what we were getting before. So we'll go ahead, we'll throw this on there. And now you can see, even though we got that Expel infested in that secondary slot, we're only dealing 29 damage. We're not dealing anything more, anything less than when we didn't have that mod equipped. So we'll just leave it there. Like, you can still see, yeah, the Expel infested is still there. We're still dealing 29. We're not doing anything special to it. So now we're going to test it against the galvanized aptitude. And for this one, what we'll do is we're actually going to do it by like a damage over time. Because the way this galvanized aptitude works is we're getting an 80% status chance. But in addition, every time we kill an enemy, we get a stack. Each of those stacks causes us to deal an additional 40% direct damage per status affecting the type of it. So that means at max stacks, which in this case it's only 2, we should see that we get an 80% damage to this 29 versus our standard damage of just 29. And then when we do the Bane of Infested, we should only get 55. Well, 80% is greater than 55. If we were to time this at max stacks, I bet you that galvanized aptitude will do more damage. In fact, I would argue, since we've already determined that the faction mods really just deal just the damage outright, I would bet you that any weapon or any mod inside the game that deals greater than 55% damage is actually going to be better than one of these faction mods of just 55% damage. So just as standard route, what we'll do is we'll time how fast we can actually kill these guys. And I'm not being very specific here, but I'm pretty sure you can use the length and the time of this video in order to make things accurate. I'll kill all the enemies just to go ahead and spawn in a few more. We'll just spawn in a full health of 20. And I'm just going to go in row by row. And I'm going to start with the very first row. Since there's no like ramp up to this weapon, I'm just going to start off. I'm just going to go across this little row and kill them all. We'll time this and we'll see how fast we actually get through one of these. So we're sitting here approximately 6 seconds in, 7, 8. We'll start on the next one so that I count really well. As you can see, it's taken a really long time to even just kill this very first one, even with just the one mod in. So we'll reload and we'll go ahead and count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Oh, I even got to reload on that one. 20, 21. So it took us about 22 seconds with just that one mod on. You know, I'm going to speed it up because that's taking way too long. That's 22 seconds. We'll speed it up for this. We'll change it a little bit. I'm going to do this for the other one too. We'll throw on the serration. So it should speed it up at least by double. Because now these mods are stacking on one another. Let's go back to where we're at in this line. Use our place. Almost got some damage, so I won't do that one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Well, looks like it's about 8. 8, almost 9. Okay. Now, we'll go ahead and we'll switch out this mod again. And instead of doing the Bane, we're going to do the galvanized aptitude. Now, I'm going to go across an entire row, but I'll still count for the very first row. But I'll do it a second time on the second row after we've gotten the stacks as well. So you can really see the different effects of the weapon. So now I'm going to go down this row. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Wow, 13 seconds. So that's 13 seconds to start, and you'll notice I'm going to have to reload here. I'm just going to do this just to quickly get the stack up. So now we're at max stacks, and we'll go like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it looks like we're doing about the same. So we got 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So it looks like they're roughly about the same 9. It might even be that this one's a little faster. It might even be that the Bane's a little faster. But they're roughly about the same. So you're not really seeing a really big impact to the value of the damage here. So I'm going to actually go ahead and throw on this Exorgist. And I'm going to change out the elements here. I'm going to go ahead. I got this build, so as you can see, these are all the same mods. This Exorgist has a few more elements so that you can really see the true benefit here. And I'm just going to throw on this Cleanse Infested. As you can see, it's going to deal only 55% additional damage towards the infected enemy. And so we got all those mods, and we're going to really see the difference here. I'm going to go ahead and kill all those guys, and I'm going to bring out our Corrupted Heavy Gunner. Now, I really only need to go do a few of these guys so that you can kind of sort of see the idea here. That's not enough of them. Let's go ahead and let's add a full 20 of them. There we go. So we got 20 of these guys out there, and they're at level 90 so that you can kind of sort of see this effect. So I'll do a few of them just so that you can see the real impact here. So it's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're getting about 5 shots in here with just that weapon alone. So let me go ahead and clear these guys out. Clear out all those, and we'll go ahead and put in a fresh new batch. As you can see, I even got the Merciless and stuff in here. Now, I really want to demonstrate, I really want to emphasize here the real big difference between these mods, and this is really going to show it here. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw on our Galvanized Savvy, which this is the same thing as the Galvanized Aptitude. It's just now we're on the Exorgist, which has a few more elements, which is going to be more typical and more closely related to the weapons you're going to come across inside the game. And, you know, we're going to have a ramp up, so I got to get at least 2 kills before I start seeing the effects of it. So we got 1 stack. We got 2 stacks. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, I'm not no rocket scientist or anything like that, but I'm going to guess that 2 is less than 5. And with just switching out those 2 mods, if I had a choice between the Galvanized Aptitude and your Galvanized mods that increase the damage per status affecting the enemy, I'm going to bank on that Galvanized mod way farther, and I'm going to switch that mod out any day over any faction mod. It does not matter. 5 to 2 shots, like, you know, I'm just could have stopped you right there. I'm going to go with that 2-shot there. And when you are using other weapons, you'll notice those mods are so important because you can get entire mobs with AoE weapons that will just throw on every status in the game on them. And as long as you have those galvanized mods on those other weapons, you can go through with your melee, condition overload, and just smack every single one of those down. So no, the Bane mods truly are not better than the galvanized aptitude mods. And in fact, you could say, and you can tell them this, any element mod with, or any damage mod with 90 per, like, well, not even 90, like your 60/60 mods, even your 60/60 mods are better than those simple Bane mods. Because quite frankly, the Bane mods, unless you're attacking that exact same enemy type, it's doing nothing for you. And that is so niche versus every other element. It's just a raw 90%, or a damage mod, it's just a 90%. Your IPS, it's a 90% towards your slash. Like, that's always going to do more for you in the long run than it is going to do you any single faction mod in the game. So, anybody argues with you, just go ahead and show them this video. And then just let them know that, yeah, Bane mods suck.